is the opinions of the people that are here and do not represent medical or legal advice. And we do not encourage anyone here to do anything without consulting with a qualified medical authority first. If you can find a qualified medical authority first. Keith Amelong was supposed to talk about good bugs, bad bugs, and so I just got through giving that lecture all right. And so I will try and fill in where he could not speak. And usually the way I start out is, anyone have any insect disease problems that they want to talk about?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Ants.
Ants.
The red, yeah, the big red ants,
There's a bait called spinosad. Also called conserve. And what we do, what we have learned about the bait is that in order to put out a bait and make it effective, it has to be, first of all, dry. Anybody here eat wet potato chips? Ants are smart like that too. They don't eat wet potato chips. So all of these baits come in a granule of some kind, usually something like a Milo or cornmeal or something like that. So all of these baits have some nutrient value to them, and that's why the ants are going to pick them up. But if they're wet, obviously they won't pick it up. So you have to put the bait out when it's dry. That's the first thing. And when you buy these containers, they come with a little lid on it, and one side you flip open and you can pour it on, and that's the way they show it in the commercials. Like the Amdro commercials, they show them dumping it right on top of the mound. That does not work. The other side, if you flip that open, it has 3 holes in it, and it's got a little mylar. What you do is you take out your pen, and you click the thing, and you poke through those 3 holes, through that mylar. Don't take the mylar off, just poke through those 3 holes. And then you take the container, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you turn it upside down. And you turn it right back up. Now what's going to happen is about 3 to 5 little grams of that stuff is going to fall out. And then you go and you do another 5 steps, and you walk like a drunk through your yard, just anywhere and everywhere, dropping this stuff out. And when you've pretty much covered your yard, that's it. In about 2 to 3 weeks, you'll find most mounds start to disappear. With some of these baits, it takes a little longer. But what I do is I put out bait every other week. Now you say, wow, that's going to be a lot of bait. I buy a 1-pound container that lasts all year, and I do a 1-acre property. So when I do 3 or 4 acres, it lasts a little less than a year. So these baits go quite a distance. What you're trying to do, you have to get into the ant's mind. What you're trying to do is they look for things that are special. That's the only thing they're going to get the queen. If there's a whole lot of it, they're not going to give it to her. They're going to eat it themselves. And if you put it on top of the mound, there's something called mound builders. Their job is to take anything that's on top of the mound and dump it off to the side. So it will not be taken to the queen. Only the harvester ants, the ones that are out looking for seeds and food and insects to bring back to the queen, are going to give that to her. So you want to put out very, very little bait over a large area. They're going to pick it up, take it to the queen, she eats it, and she either quits producing eggs or she dies, or both.
Can you use this in your home?
No, don't use it inside the home. But you could if you wanted to. If you have ants inside the home, what I recommend is you get peanut butter. You take boric acid and mix equal parts of peanut butter and boric acid and leave it out for the ants to find. It has to be fresh peanut butter, and they will come and they will pick it up and they'll eat every bit of it, and that will kill them.
Now you're talking about fire ants. What about crazy ants?
Sugar ants, or what do you call crazy ants?
It looks like a fire ant, and it bites and it hurts like a fire ant, but not as bad. And they don't get on you and bite you right away. They'll crawl on
The
you.
baits do that. If you're outside, if you're inside, the peanut butter and boric acid does it. And the peanut butter and boric acid also works for roaches. And I mean the cockroaches and the little tiny roaches as well. Almost all of them. In fact, when I get through with a peanut butter jar, I take my finger and I lick out the top of it. And so the bottom inch or two still has peanut butter in it. That's the stuff that I can't get out with my knife. And I just sit it in a pantry or in underneath the sink somewhere where you typically find the roaches. And the roach will crawl in, but they can't crawl out. And so they're trapped inside. And you can also put just a sprinkling of boric acid in there and shake it around in case you forget about the jar being there. And they'll crawl into that and they'll eat the boric acid and they'll die. And the next roach comes along, does the same thing. They keep doing it for a long time.
That would even work for the little wood ants also?
Wood ants, no.
No.
Wood ants, you want to use orange oil. Go back to where
Where they're coming in?
we're coming in, take orange oil and squirt it, and that stops them.
Because they always get all over my cat food.
Your cat food,
That I have outside.
those aren't
Well, they're not wood
carpenter
ants?
ants or wood ants. Yeah.
Oh, coming in, because it's not a fire ant. I know the difference between that and.
Well, there are ants that do, native ants that don't bite. I mean, you have to really
'cause
get
this
them
really
angry
doesn't.
to bite you.
Yeah,
Uh,
I had them crawl on me, but I always thought they were wood ants.
No, wood ants are non-biters, and they will not go after cat food or dog food.
What are sugar ants?
Sugar ants, little tiny ants,
Yeah.
very little. And again, the boric acid and the peanut butter work well. If that does not work, and frequently it doesn't, they're smarter than the other ants.
Yeah.
What you have to do is you have to go to other types of oils. Maybe olive oil, try that with a little bit of boric acid in it, or try other types of things. And just a drop, and just put it out right where you do your cooking and they're coming in, because that's typically where you find it. Yeah, they'll feed off of a drop of grease for a long time. So, yeah, bacon grease is a good one to mix with boric acid and put it out. You know, clean up around it, but don't clean up that spot. That's going to get it. Yes, sir.
June bugs? June bugs?
June bugs. Okay, everyone know what a May beetle is? Know what a June bug is? No, well, May beetles and June bugs it's the same critter, different month. May beetles in May and June bugs in June. But the significance about that, yeah, the significance about that is in May, what you do is you turn on your porch light and go away for 15 minutes and come back. And then you count the number of May beetles in May and June bugs in June. You call them June bugs in July or August or whatever. But you count, and what you do is you map this on a calendar. So whatever day you start, you go on the calendar, write on that day a number, whatever you find, 1, 2, or 3. And then you watch the calendar and you'll see it rise. And you'll hit a point where it's either 6 or 8 or something like that after 15 minutes. And then the number starts to dwindle. 6 weeks from the peak of that number, whatever that number is, if it's 8, the first day of that peak, you count off 6 weeks later, and you go out and you put down beneficial nematodes. Beneficial nematodes. If you put out beneficial nematodes, you wipe out the June bugs and the May beetles. That's an easy one. Oh, when you go out to count those things, kill every one of them.
What about a natural thing for termites, just to prevent?
To prevent termites, if you're building a home, boric acid. You mix it up in a pump sprayer. Mix it up fairly heavy where you can still spray it out of the pump sprayer. You go and you spray it under every support beam in that house. You spray it around where the